to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to take a phone call now from Philip in Virginia. Aloha, Philip. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, aloha, Mike. What's on my mind is the utter contradictory rulings that you just covered from the Supreme Court today. The SCOTUS scum. Looks like they are paving the way for, the illegals to be able to meddle in our election again with the contradictory opinion that rejected the Commerce Secretary's request for the citizenship question. If you read the opinions of the 2 cases, the citizenship question and the gerrymandering question, they're interrelated.
Yes.
And you got to read between the lines. What they said about the gerrymandering or what they said about the citizenship question, it applies to the other side as well. They said that with regards to the citizenship question, well, they were questioning the motive. of the Commerce Secretary's request to add this. Well, what about the motive of the people who want all these illegals to steal our election again? You know, they're completely overlooking that. You know, so I mean, it's just a joke. It's a contradiction. And the president has a full every right to add that question. The census falls beneath the executive branch, and I don't even know why that the Commerce Secretary even brought this case to the Supreme Court. The president has the authority to just do it.
Yes, he does. And I agree. We have to have a citizenship question because, you know, those district borders, the gerrymandering borders, are drawn according to what they think the voters are going to be, Democrat or Republican. And if they're including the illegal immigrants as Democratic voters, the borders are going to be very, very different. They are just giving this country away.
Yeah, and like I said, the rulings today were a major, massive contradiction and demonstration of hypocrisy, because what they said about the gerrymandering could apply to the citizenship question and vice versa. I mean, it's just these supposed learned legal eagle superior minds of the Supreme Court. And I mean, even a child could see the hypocrisy of their opinions today. But anyway, on a lighter note, Mike, are you going to import your when you move to Indiana? Are you going to import your greeting from Hawaii over there? Or are you going to? I'm interested to see how you answer the phone when you move. Are you going to come over with the Midwest flair and say, howdy? What's on your mind?
I'm thinking about that quite a bit here, and I realize I can't go on saying Aloha America either at show start or when we answer the phone. So it all depends where we wind up. I mean, if we wind up in the town of Santa Claus, I may answer the show ho, ho, ho.
All right. Well, I appreciate your sense of humor on your program as well. So, but anyways, that's all I got, and have a great show.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Art off the grid. Aloha, Art. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. You know, continuing on this whole thing with the censorship question, what I found absolutely ludicrous, I don't know if that's the right word to use, was this comment that question on the census would not allow for an accurate population count. And I thought to myself, and it took me all of about 2 seconds to figure this out, if you ask on the question, are you a citizen of the United States, the answer yes or no. You take all the yeses and you put them in this pile. You take all the no's, you put them in this pile, and then you count the two piles and you add them together, and now you got an accurate population count. What the hell's the damn problem?
Well, the problem is, of course, that only the ones who are citizens are supposed to be counted, because if you go back to your Constitution, that is the whole purpose of the censorship system. Is to basically count the number of voters to draw the congressional districts. And people who are in those districts who are not citizens are not supposed to be counted for that purpose.
Yeah, but here's my point. If you let them answer the question, if they'll answer honestly, now you have two different piles. You get an accurate population count, but you're only going to go off of the population count of the actual citizens and build everything based on that number. But at the same time, you also have a full account of how many people actually make up the full population. But you also now you have the address of a whole bunch of people that are here illegally.
Yes.
See how that works?
Yep.
You see why that's a good thing to have that question on there?
Yeah, I agree.
And it took me all of 2 seconds to figure that out. Now, why in the hell are these clowns that are so highly educated with their law degrees and every damn thing else they got sitting up there in Washington thinking they're so damn smart, but yet a dumb, ignorant country boy who got his GED in prison figured this out in 2 seconds?
Okay, well,
Anybody else give?
you need to understand when the census is being done. Originally, the census was just a head count, and I think what's going on here is the people who are opposed to the citizenship question in the census are obviously those who are counting on illegal immigrants being allowed to vote. And
Exactly.
now the Supreme Court did not end this issue. They didn't decide one way or the other. They said the arguments weren't really clear one way or the other, and they sent it back to the lower court. So this issue has not been resolved.
Well, if they'd actually went by the Constitution, they could have solved it real quick by simply saying, yes, that's a legitimate question because of the situation we have now with the demographics that we have today, today's world. That is a good question because it will give us an accurate representation of who's who, what's what, and then we can go with that. But no, they don't want to do that. They want that open door policy, open borders, come in, and just we're just going to give the country away. That's what's going to happen here. We're
Yep.
going to give it away to a bunch of people that don't deserve it. And that whole deal with that drowning down there, everybody wants to blame Trump. I blame the parents.
Yep.
This is what it's come to. And if we don't put an end to this, we are in trouble. And I'm telling you what, Mike, that debate last night, I couldn't stop laughing.
Okay.
For the entertainment value alone, it was worth watching because we have got a gaggle of clowns up there last night. Tonight, I bet you, is going to be absolutely off the chains hilarious with some of the stupid that we heard last night. I can only imagine the stupid we're going to hear tonight from the top 10 contenders. Anyway, thanks, Mike. Have a great one.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Art. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open again. Now, the House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena Kellyanne Conway for alleged ethics violations, and it's setting up another war, if you will, with the White House over whether they can do this or not. Apparently, she is being accused of violations of the Hatch Act. Now, the Hatch Act was passed in 1939, and it limits partisan political activities of federal employees, and the Office of Special Counsel, a separate one from Robert Mueller, is investigating her for having engaged in that. So apparently the White House is saying Conway was absolutely immune from the congressional testimonial process and would be declining the invitation. So we'll see what's going to happen there. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here to Fred in Iowa. Aloha, Fred. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. When Art Off the Grid called in, and people say, and Stat Miller asked, what do you do? Action. Okay, I'll tell you what the hell I done. This little old puke in Iowa, and it's cost me trouble. All right, when that census guy come to my door, I wouldn't let him in my house. And then I took out 2 lawn chairs, and I talked to him for about 45 minutes. He lived in California, but he moved to Iowa. And a circuitous argument he gave all the way on through. And I said, you don't need to know this. The government doesn't need to know this. But he just went on and on. And
yeah, some of those questions are very, very intrusive, and a lot of people are upset with that because, again, under the Constitution, all the census is supposed to do is count the voters living in a district to draw the district boundaries.
I know that, but what people don't realize, because they're so cotton-picking, stupid, is they're taking all the information. They know where in the hell you're at, where you sleep, where you break wind. But unless you fight back some, now take the smart meter. Two guys come up there, an older guy and a younger guy, and we need to change your meter, and it'll take about 19 or 20 seconds, you know. And I shook my finger in their face, and I said, "No smart phone." I said, and they was floored there, and I said, "Well, get on the internet and look up about these smart meters." And they were baffled, and the young guy, I don't know whether he was taking it in or not, but hell, get off your cowardly asses and do something. And I got one more thing to say. 4.5 years I've been on RBN, and I think I've wasted a lot of my time in my life. But going into Elizabeth Warren and Susie Orman, that manages your money in your account, well, on PBS, all I've seen, because I've got antenna TV, is homosexual filth day and night on PBS. And they talk about mass media, but our Republic, or RBN, not RBN, but public television is just lying stupid to watch. And most people get their information from the idiot book. Anyhow, Susie Orman helped Elizabeth Warren, and they were okaying each other. And Orman was caught in fraud, and I watched the videos and the write-ups and everything like that. And still, 2 months ago, they had her on a marathon, you know, when PBS collects money. So I'm telling you, people just, they don't want to know the truth. And I know I'm bitching, but anyhow, have a good day and good luck in Indiana.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go and switch over to Rick in Arizona. Aloha, Rick. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, about it was a week ago today I called in, and I said that there'll be no war against Iran. And I'm also going to go a little farther and say that I think Trump will break out some Scotch tape and tape up that treaty that he tore up. Because as far as that war getting canceled, whether there was even one scheduled or not, I can tell you with confidence that the Navy won't do it. Okay? The Navy has the final word on this. They're the one that are in the theater of war, not some draft dodger in Washington, D.C. There's more to this than people think. And for people to think that Trump canceled this, I would make a sizable wager that's not the case. I think that the Navy and the NSA is behind this, and they've been messing with the GPS over in Israel a little bit. And I think that's just a little, they're messaging to Israel that Big Wasp is not going to let them start a war with Iran.
Well, maybe. I still think war with Iran is coming. There are too many people who want it. And I think what it is they've botched the false flags that we're going to get that war going. And so now they're going to sort of wait a little bit until Americans forget about what's been going on. Then we'll get hit with another one. In fact, I would not be surprised if something happened on the 4th of July.
Well, anything's possible, but there's one thing that is not happened before. Our fighter pilots are not in the business of dogfighting. In fact, they haven't ever been in any airspace where they're subject to being shot down, really. I mean, going into Iraq, they know for sure they had nothing to shoot them down.
Yes.
Afghanistan, Libya. You know, our pilots, I don't think, are down for this. I think there's grumbling about them not. They didn't sign up for this kind of stuff. Because breaking into that airspace, you could get shot down. And as far as launching missiles from a battleship, I don't know. Iran can launch missiles from the ground to your battleship. I'm still going to say this war is going to not happen. I think Trump is going to go back to the bargaining table with the help of the media to make it look like he's a real statesman. But they're going to go back and they're going to sew up this nuclear agreement because the stakes are way too high. And I don't think there's enough people in the theater of war that are down for this war. So thanks for taking my call, Mike.
Well, that's certainly the word we were getting from the leadership at the Pentagon, that they don't think this war with Iran is a really good idea. But this wouldn't be the first time that an administration basically ignored the advice of the military and proceeded ahead with a really bad mistake. So I still think it's going to happen. Obviously, I disagree with Rick. It's just a question of they have to come up with something to convince the American people this is just and moral and necessary. We've got to take another break for commercials. We'll be back with another caller after these few words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs. Memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendivite. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Getting no audio, Mike.
Yeah, here we go. Aloha, welcome back to the show here. We have a caller waiting on the line, Morgan in Florida. Aloha, Morgan, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, no, it's not Morgan, it's Mo, Mike.
Oh, okay.
I got a question, but before...
Hello? Mo, are you there? Okay, seems we've had a little technical glitch there.
I think he dropped.
He dropped. Okay. All right. So, as you know, the NSA has been scandalized by the unwarranted surveillance of U.S. phone calls and text messages. And apparently it has now happened a second time. It took place last October, occurring several months after the NSA said it had purged hundreds of millions of metadata records it had amassed since 2015 due to a separate episode of what they call overcollection. So apparently the ACLU obtained the documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal as part of a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit involving the surveillance program. I think it's time that Congress step on in and basically limit the scope of what the NSA can do. Because they've gone rogue. They have this capability of spying on us all, and they figure, well, yeah, as long as we can do that, let's just go ahead and do that. No, there is that Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. Okay. Let's turn to the economic news here a little bit. Trump came on out with yet another threat of more tariffs on $300 billion in Chinese goods coming into the United States, and threatened that unless Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to meet with him at the G20 meeting, which is just getting underway in Osaka, Japan. And Trump is saying, got to hammer out a trade deal favorable to Washington. And he's out there saying that his plan B with China is to reduce business with China. He's going to do additional tariffs. He's just going to lock down trade between China and the United States of America. And by the way, it's already happening because China's farm imports from the United States have just fallen into the basement. Chinese buyers shift supply chains out of the U.S. to other countries because of the deepening trade war. Now, that's obviously bad economics, but it may in the long run be a good thing, because don't forget, toward the end of this year, we're going to be looking at some major food shortages because of all that Midwestern flooding, which is just totally out of control. We ought to be keeping the food that we produce in this country, because the American people are definitely going to be needing that, not to mention all the illegal immigrants. Okay, we got to take another break here. This one for station identification. We'll be right back after these few words.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, welcome back to our show here. It's hour number 2, and the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And to finish up on that story that we were talking about before the break, basically, Chinese food importers are abandoning the United States of America. They're going to Brazil, Argentina, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Vietnam, Brunei, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. And they're also increasing their imports from the European Union, Australia, and Canada. So the trade war is having an impact. All right, we're going to go to the phones now. Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
You better take those tariffs off. Something bad going to happen to you. How do you like that tweet from Trump to India?
Well,
he basically said that.
It was, during the campaign, it was cute and it was endearing. But I wish that Trump would spend a lot less time tweeting and more time being the president, to be very honest.
How about, Trump, you better get that wall built or something bad going to happen to you.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you know what's ironic about this whole situation? At least Iran protects their borders. We can't even protect our own. You know what
True.
I mean? By shooting down the U.S. Like I said, Mike, nothing has been done to this point. I mean, what's today, the 27th?
Yep.
I mean, nothing. Where's all the infrastructure bill we're still waiting on? The wars keep going on, this or that. It's just, and then, I mean, he has time to tweet. I don't understand why he has no time to work out some kind of other things. I mean, you would think he'd be on the phone maybe with the Prime Minister Modi.
Yes.
And talk to him. But he tweets it out. Mike, I'm starting to think Trump is intentionally isolating us from the rest of the world. They're all moving away. I'm starting to think that. I think I
don't know if it's intentional, and I don't think it's just Trump, but I think the behavior of the United States going back to George W. Bush is definitely driving the rest of the world away from us.
Because, by 2030, India is going to be the second largest economy of the world. We're going to drop the third because
Yes.
China's the number one. And they have a large internal economy now. So everybody says they don't need us. And in the next 10 years, they're definitely not going to need us because there's other markets. Europe is a bigger market than us. But Europe's got its own problems. But did you see Ford's laying off like 12,000 people in Europe?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and then also I told you about the steel shuttering over here, and then also I think it was in Britain, right? They're closing the steel plant in Britain.
Yes.
So, and then you just saw the numbers come out. They revised down. All the numbers are rigged. I mean, I don't even think we're growing at like 1.5%. I really don't. I can't see us growing at 3%. But
Well,
like
we know the numbers
rigged.
are all rigged, and they'll come out with a number that sounds really good, and they'll make a big news story out of it, and then 3-4 months down the road, they'll say, well, we've had to revise that number downward.
But that's the thing, Mike. Like, they'll give Trump the numbers. But remember when he ran during the campaign, he knew it was all rigged. We're in a bubble and this or that. But I just find it odd how a lot of his supporters, well, the economy's doing great now since Trump's in and Obama's not. Nothing's changed.
Nope.
It's getting worse, I think.
Nope.
It's like, but nothing's been fixed. So how is it getting better? Because Trump's in, it's better. That shouldn't be the way it works. it should work the way, have some legitimate numbers, because, like Wall Street, everything is phony. And long term, that can't last because these numbers are all rigged. So I just don't see this lasting too much longer, because I just watched the Duran on YouTube. They had about Russia's economy is better now since the sanctions.
Yes.
So maybe India economy and China's economy is going to be better with the sanctions, and Iran, because, Belt in the Road and all this other, they can grow.
Yes.
Because Iran has a long time to deal with sanctions, so there's ways around that, and the Chinese know, because they've been planning for a long time too. But yeah, I don't understand Trump. I mean, he ran during the campaign, all that about we're in the bubble and stuff, but just once he got in, he forgot about it. But I just don't know if it's him and the Federal Reserve, because remember, he also railed on the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. Well, it may be that once Trump got into office, he looked around and realized that there wasn't a thing he could do about any of these problems, and that's why he's basically just sort of looked the other way now.
And I also watched the thing on, with the farm subsidies. They're going to need more money, which is a bailout. That's socialism. That's like bailing out GM. But I was thinking, the corn shortage. Now, are they still putting ethanol in the corn? Because they're going to have to stop that. Either that or eat. But then they won't be able to export any corn because there won't be enough, right? So maybe Brazil, like you said, Brazil will take over that market. So it's a lose-lose for the farmers.
It absolutely is. And yeah, it may force a review of this ethanol-based fuel, which was never really a workable idea to begin with. And it's going to be a mess. And I'm hearing from all these people in the Midwest saying that the fields, even those fields that can be planted, are still way below the normal levels they would be for this time of year.
So their crop for this year is finished, basically. But
yes.
But what about those markets? If Brazil takes over and then, to sell corn to other countries, say, we'll just be cut out of the market completely then. If, you know what I mean? Maybe we won't be able to return to exporting corn like we used to if they start buying it from Brazil or
yeah,
I don't know
once we lose that market, it's not going to come back here easily, especially because of the growing concern over the GMOs.
And if the sanctions drag on, I remember somebody said, one of the economists, they said that short term we'll benefit from the tariffs, which I didn't believe, but long term China will benefit, which I do believe, though. I see them benefiting long term because, like I said, they have a larger amount of population, and if they're rebuilding, they're building up their internal, businesses and factories for themselves. They won't need us, but the problem is we ain't got nobody else. We don't make anything. That's the bottom line. We're in trouble.
That's the big problem. Yeah.
But all right, Mike, have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates rejoining our network. We're going to go back to the phones to Nick in Arizona. Aloha, Nick. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, the Constitution says that there should be imposed excise, exposed custom and duties. When they put the tax on the labor, the Constitution forbid taxing exports, and they were to tax imports. And when they passed the income tax law, they violated that phrase in the Constitution,
yes,
because they're pre-taxing. And then when they passed the fraudulent 13th Amendment that prohibited lawyers from holding public office, and they were actually to be deported, they actually started that civil war because they wanted to mask over that 13th Amendment. and Judah Benjamin was involved with Jefferson Davis, and there was 3 top people who were involved with the banking system that were behind Lincoln. And those slaves did belong to the people, even though they legally owned them, but not lawfully. If it was over slavery, all he had to do was buy them back and then bring them back to where they were confiscated from or taken from. Every amendment after the 13th Amendment has been put in place to abolish the previous 13 amendments. And anybody who holds a Social Security card only has privilege and immunity, has no rights. You can't even question the public debt because only by statute does a citizen of the United States have privilege and immunity, because every United States citizen waived it when he took a Social Security card. And Mr.
Well,
Roosevelt was responsible for that.
Not exactly. At the close of the Civil War, there were a whole string of constitutional amendments passed. And if you want to look at how our country was reformed, you need to study those. And in one of those constitutional amendments, it said that the legitimacy of the public debt could not be questioned. And that's where that originated.
Right. Yes. And then they gave the women the right to vote against the husband to cancel his ballot. They gave the right to children to vote against the mother and the father while they're still in school to cancel their ballot. And they've, it just goes on and on. There's no more secured rights under the Constitution because they've all been abolished by the last 13 amendments. Even though people aren't smart enough to vote for president, they made it a direct vote because a United States citizen can only vote for an elector. He cannot vote for president. And when they gave the people who are, well, first of all, a United States citizen is not the same as a citizen of the United States. A citizen of the United States is one who lives on the 10-mile square, a federal enclave, or Micronesia, Virgin Islands, Samoa, North and South Marianas, and Puerto Rico. At one time, it was Hawaii and Alaska.
Yes.
As soon as they became states, then they were no longer citizens of the federal United States. And freedom of speech has also been canceled because they allowed Mr. Roosevelt to do the deal in what he was doing with the farm, which is having the problem with the corn today, whereby they taxed the food 281 times by the time you get to eat it or buy it at the store. And they even tax the person who puts the food in the bag for you to take home.
Yes.
So when you eat that, they control your movement by taxing your heartbeat as well as controlling your speech.
Well, I don't know about taxing the heartbeat. That's kind of getting a little bit out there. But I would agree with you. We're overtaxed. You know, we're spending way too much money on the federal government. We're not getting value for money. The government is spending all of our wealth on their war machine. We're in a wartime economy. They don't want to admit it, but that's exactly where we are. Anyway, Nick, I'm going to let you go here. We've got another caller waiting on the line, Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I just got home, turned you on. So I don't know if you covered this or not about the debates and the Tulsi Gabbard that she actually, Rudge report, some others had a win by a wide margin.
Yes.
But this is awesome. This is really awesome. I tweeted it all over the place because the mainstream media is trying everything they can to stop it. I was at Jim before. I know it's not on a fake news network, the crap news network, and I crap imagine it's not on a nothing but crap news network. So I tweeted it and shared it on Facebook and shared it with everybody I could, put on Messenger. So that's the way to do it, folks. You can't let these people get away with this stuff. The reason why Tulsi obviously was a lot more popular than they've been letting on. She's probably a lot higher in the polls than they've been letting on. And she made a complete fool out of that neocon Tim Ryan, who, by the way, I just twittered. Twittered him that he's a fool. And he started with this stuff about Assad. I told him actually Assad is the Abraham Lincoln of Middle East. And that I said the only gas there is coming out of your filthy mouth. I told him.
Okay.
So these people need to be brought to be made to understand that we know who they are, what they're about, and this is just great. By the way, I also heard that the something called the Daily Beast. I think that it's owned by the Nazi collaborator George Soros.
Yes.
They said that Russia conducted the polls. Can you believe these people? Can you believe them?
Boy, talk about
Right?
desperation on the cusp of madness.
I mean, they are scared. They are scared of this woman. The thing I'm concerned about now is her safety. Okay?
Yes.
You've got to have good security because these people are desperate. They hate this woman. They hate her now, I think, worse than they hate Trump. She's making a mockery out of us, and they can't beat her. She's impossible. You can't beat her in a debate. If she wins the nomination and goes against Trump might as well just hang it up. He might as well forget it. He's done.
Yes.
Because no way this draft dodger from the Vietnam era can even hope to match Tulsi with his warlike policies that he's conducting and the neocons in his administration. He's done. He might as well just hang it up. So, like I said, the thing I'm concerned right now is her safety, her security, because there's no telling what these monsters that run this country right now, corporate and government, might try. There's no telling. Just think JFK. So that's what my concern right now. But I'm telling you, she's got everybody in a tizzy right now. She's got everybody in a... And it was better than I thought. I didn't, I thought they would be able to squeeze, and they tried to squeeze her out. They tried to have her out. Well, what happened is when she first, she must have been reading my mind. I said, go on here and start talking about the war and peace issue right away. So right away they wanted her to talk about some woman's issue, where the woman makes less money than a man and all that, the usual Democratic nonsense. She just ignored that and said and talked about her anti-war, how the service in the military, how anti-war she was, how we got to stop the regime change, and all that stuff. And I said, wow, she did the right thing. She did absolutely the right thing. She has got these people. That's the identity politics nonsense, that they were trying. I wasn't even going to bother with the debates tonight, but I might just watch them because I want to see what the other Democrat candidates are going to be saying now. Because after how successful she was, they may start to really make an anti-war turn. Especially I'd like to see what Bernie Sanders has to say and a few others. But I mean, she was great. She was just awesome. What do you think, Mike? Do you agree with me?
I absolutely agree. We were talking about her at the top of the show, and Drudge had a poll, put her at the top, and even though MSNBC tried to sort of marginalize her during the debates, Google was showing she was the most searched for name as soon as the debates were over. So she definitely caught everybody's eye or ear, as the case may be.
We need to tweet her and tell her to put you in her cabinet. What do you think about that? Maybe make you Secretary of Defense.
If she wins the presidency, by the time she does that, I'm going to be in Indiana, not Hawaii, so I don't know how she'd feel about that. But again, I'm open to taking over NASA, and I think the only reason Trump didn't appoint me head of NASA this time was my plan to have all the ground crews dress up like apes every time a spaceship returned to Earth.
I'd like to see her invite you to Washington and make you Secretary of State. I think you make good Secretary of State. You'd certainly be better than the clown they got now. Right?
Yep.
I mean, that is just great. Indiana, no matter what. I mean, she's got to realize she needs people. She needs people like you, because she definitely shouldn't make the same mistakes Trump made and put a bunch of warmongering, evil and I mean evil
Well,
neocons
we'll
in there.
see what her
Neocons,
financial
neocons.
backers demand of her, because that's why Trump picked the people he did, because the money behind him said, yes, you will do this. Mark, we got to let you go. Got to take another break for commercials. We got another caller waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Mo in Florida. Aloha, Mo. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. I do have an observation I want to get your opinion on, obviously. But first of all, when you move to Indiana, I'm gonna miss the aloha, and I wonder, are you going to answer the phone Tippy Canoe?
I have not decided yet, but I've put a great deal of thought into it.
I'm going to miss the aloha. I hope you keep saying aloha. That was very, I don't know. I associate you.
I've had a lot of people say that, to just keep on using aloha, and everybody will just sort of shrug and say, well, yeah, he's in Indiana, but he's bringing a little bit of the islands with him.
Yeah. It's very, I don't know. I've listened to you since you started, and it's, it's just comforting. But the observation I had, Mike, is, I just hate to say this because being a Ron Paul supporter, campaigned for him twice, his non-aggression principle, the whole thing, non-war, just like we believe in. I think this. I think Tulsi Gabbard. She's very attractive. She's refreshing. Yeah, she had some, National Guard experience, which, a lot of people have had, including George Bush. But, to me, the thing I don't like, I know she's a gun grabber, which I know, that's irritating. But I think she could probably modify that policy. My big concern is she's a CFR member, and, she starts the conversation off right away with Al-Qaeda crashed the plane. Now, the question should be to her, which they would never ask, is how did Al-Qaeda spend months planning those explosives in the controlled demolition of the Twin Towers and the Solomon Building, Building 7? How did they do that without being detected? How did they get into those buildings for months when everybody with, like you say, two brain cells to rub together? No. You got to be stupid not to know that they didn't do this. It was a controlled demolition. Even Trump said it.
Yes.
So she starts off her campaign with being nobody's that stupid or with a lie. So I think she's controlled opposition. And I hate to say that because I wish we had somebody, like you.
Well,
Ron Paul.
if any of those Democrats up on that stage said something like that 9/11 was staged by the U.S. government and by Israel, the media would just destroy them before they'd ever get to the ballot box.
No, I know, and that's the sad truth of it. So here we go again, a bunch of BS, a controlled opposition. What I think is going on, people have woken up at their slumber and their fear after the years after 9/11, and they know, because everybody has the internet, just about everybody I know knows that 9/11 was an inside job. I mean, everybody knows it pretty much, that has delved into it enough to do any investigation whatsoever, even a cursory investigation. It's obvious. It's a controlled demolition. So here she is, a CFR member, and, they know that this stuff's coming out. So now they got the controlled opposition. They got a woman. She's a gun grabber. She's, it's sick. It just makes me sick, Mike. It makes me sick because I agree with you. You're not getting in. You wouldn't get to first base. Don't mention the dancing Israelis. Don't mention Supreme Commander Clark. And how this thing was planned, Iran, the whole thing. You can't tell the truth and be elected. So what is the point here? She thinks she's going to get in there and all of a sudden say, yes, Israel, the Saudis, and the neocons did 9/11. She ain't going to do that. So here we are starting the whole premise with a lie. And I don't mean to be depressing, but, we just want a hero so bad that finally you realize the system's not going to let anybody in that is going to tell the truth.
No, they're not. And that's unfortunately the way it is. I mean, look at all the things that we know were lies in the past, and they're still officially being protected, like the Kennedy assassination, the sinking of the USS Maine. Officially, the cover story still holds, and nobody's supposed to challenge that. Now, we all applauded when Donald Trump, during the 2016 campaign, got up there and started challenging these official stories, and it's one of the reasons so many people voted for him. As far as Tulsi Gabbard is concerned, obviously, I don't agree with her on many of her topics, such as being a gun grabber. But I think it's great that she did as well as she did in the debates last night. And I'm definitely going to be watching what she's doing with a great deal of interest. And frankly, if by some amazing miracle she gets the nomination in 2020, I'm definitely going to be on her side because Trump has turned out to be this incredible disappointment.
Yeah, I understand, Mike, and I agree with you. I was hoping myself because anybody that's anti-war, I'm for. But, I just think she's controlled opposition, Mike. But, I want to keep the faith alive. I wish it was different, and congratulations on your move. I'm glad to see you come home to the mainland, even though I miss Aloha, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. One of the people in our control room said I ought to start the show with Shalom America and really freak everybody out. So I'll put that on the list of possible suggestions.
You have to join the CFR first, Mike. Don't take
okay, I have to join the CFR.
Worry.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to take another break for commercials. Thank you for the phone call. and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking about the economic news here. And the G20, this year's G20 is just getting cranked up in Osaka, Japan. And people are kind of wondering just what are they doing? What are they about? Because the G20 was formed 10 years ago at the level of heads of states and government to deal with the economic and financial crisis, which they did more or less successfully. This was in the aftermath of the mortgage-backed security meltdown and so forth. But now more and more people are saying what is its current role? Is that all it's good for, is reacting to crises? Or is it going to have a larger role in the world? Now, Trump came out with this bizarre statement ahead of the G20. He basically said any country attacking Japan he would fight World War III. And Trump was speaking to Fox News Business Network, and he spoke of the bilateral trade deals of the G20 summit. And during his interview, Trump said, if Japan is attacked, we will fight World War III with our lives and with our treasure. Now, who does he think is going to attack Japan? That's the question that I think we need to be looking at. Does he think China is going to attack Japan? Does he think North Korea is going to attack Japan? It seems like this comment just sort of came out of nowhere. But he was on the phone with Fox Business News, and he's got to say things to sound presidential here, I guess. All righty, story coming on out of TouchstoneConnect.com. And they're talking about the decline and deterioration of Los Angeles. And apparently they quoted rock star Johnny Rotten saying that there's something rotten on Los Angeles beaches and it's ugly. And he's basically talking about what's going on Southern California's beaches. And they talk specifically about Venice Beach and about how beautiful it was back in 2007. And it was. And I remember I was back on Venice Beach. I don't even remember the year it was, but we were working on the movie Skate Town, USA. And it was beautiful. It was everything that you saw in the travel guides. And today it's just littered with needles and human poop and homeless tents. And I'm sure that's got to be negatively impacting not only the tourism to the area, but the property values. And the Los Angeles City Council isn't doing anything about it. It's just like, well, that's just the way it's going to be. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. And so forth and so on. But it's sad to think about because I have fond memories of my time in Southern California. Claire has fond memories of San Francisco. So do I for the short time that I was there. And now to see all these stories about just the mess in the streets. And you wonder, what the heck happened to this country? The answer is, of course, we're an empire in decline. We're spending what remains of the wealth of the nation waging war on countries that have done nothing wrong to us in the hope that somehow we'll be able to plunder enough wealth from them that we can sort of kind of maybe get our country back the way somebody thinks it ought to be, like with healthy infrastructure. Anyway, Bank of America has announced it will begin severing ties with companies that run private prisons and immigration detention facilities. It will no longer lend money to such companies. This is coming out of Bloomberg. So apparently Bank of America is taking a stand against private prisons and the detention facilities here. Now, as one of our callers pointed out earlier, the Supreme Court has blocked the citizenship question on the 2020 census for now. Emphasis on for now. Basically, the court said the administration's explanation for adding the question is insufficient and sent it back to the lower courts for further consideration. So this is a setback for Trump, but it's not the end of the issue. He could come on back. Now, obviously, I think there ought to be a citizenship question because the census shouldn't be counting people who are not citizens of this country, because it is the voting citizens with voting rights that determine where the voting district borders get drawn. All right, we're going to take a phone call now. James in Kansas, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I'm curious as to whether or not the movie that is used in the sitcom 2.5 Men is a movie set, or is it really a house on Malibu Beach?
I actually don't watch the show, but knowing production as I do, it's probably an interior set on a soundstage.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right.
That's all I wanted to know.
All right. They
All
may
right.
use a real practical house on the beach for the exteriors, but for the interiors, just looking at the ads for the show that I've seen, it looks to me like it's a soundstage set. Getting on back to the issues of immigration. Apparently, thousands more National Guard troops are scheduled to arrive in Tijuana tomorrow to take unprecedented steps in securing Mexico's northern border and preventing migrants from crossing into the United States. Now, on Monday, Mexican Army troops removed 2 migrants from Las Playas, where other migrants have clashed with U.S. border agents in recent months. The troops, along with Mexico's immigration agency, checked identification for people gathered near the Tijuana beach, according to a video recorded by human rights activist Hugo Castro. And apparently, Apollinaire Botello said he was among those whose ID was checked by the military troops. And he said, "They told me I can't be this close to the border wall because I don't have documents or permits. At one point, they told me I can't even be on the beach." Now, something very weird has been going on because, as you know, the Democrats are making a big deal over these poor caged children, and they don't have supplies and they don't have enough food, and they're trying to say, "Oh, the Republicans, see how cruel they are," forgetting that all of these cages were originally set up under the Obama administration. And then you have these bills going through Congress to send humanitarian aid down to the border for these kids, and it gets voted down. And the reason is very simple. The Democrats want these kids to be suffering so they can blame Trump for it. They're willing to basically sacrifice the health and safety of these kids so they can make political hay over them. Which brings us to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think it was yesterday we reported on these photos from a border protest in which Alexandria was crying at this fence. And a lot of people said, this feels staged. There's no reverse angle. We don't know what's on the other side of that fence. Well, apparently photos have surfaced showing how the photo op was shot. And yes, as a matter of fact, it was an empty parking lot. Alexandria was faking her tears over an empty parking lot. So, she's a phony. She's an absolute phony. Denmark will become the 3rd Nordic country this year to form a leftist government after Social Democratic leader Mette Frederiksen agreed terms for a one-party minority government late yesterday. While the new left-leaning government is unlikely to fundamentally change Danish economic policy, Frederiksen, who at 41 becomes Denmark's youngest prime minister, has promised to increase welfare spending after years of austerity. Angela Merkel's had another episode of shaking uncontrollably that got caught on video. And so people are starting to say, there's got to be something wrong. And maybe it really is time for her to step down for medical reasons. Okay. Yeah, I saw the video. It was really bad. And yeah, she's definitely not healthy. Over at the Boeing company, they have found yet another flaw in the 737 MAX. And apparently they were running simulator tests, and government pilots discovered that a microprocessor failure could push the nose of the plane toward the ground. Now, they don't know that the microprocessor issue played a role in either of the 2 spectacular crashes we've had over the last couple of months. But when testing the potential failure of the microprocessor in the simulators, it was difficult for the test pilots to recover in a matter of seconds. And if you can't recover in a matter of seconds, that is an unreasonable risk. So, I understand a travel agency is putting together a package deal. Vacation in the Dominican Republic, fly you there on the 737 MAX. Over in Illinois, there is this debate going on about gun ownership. And it was a town hall hosted by Senator Julie Morrison during a discussion on Senate Bill 107, which seeks to ban all assault weapons. And a man in the audience stood up and pointed out how the law claiming assault weapons are dangerous was rather pointless because it allows people who pay the fine to keep their guns. Now, Senator Morrison responded by saying she'd changed her mind and she could now be leaning toward outright confiscation. And so the man in the audience said, "You want me to turn them over to the state police unless I pay a fine for each firearm and register them, then I get to keep them." And Morrison replied, "Okay." And then the man said, "If I get to keep it, if I pay a fine and register it, then how dangerous is it in the first place, and why do you need to ban it at all?" And apparently at that point, the audience erupted in applause. Over in Alabama, there's a Ford dealership coming up on the 4th of July. They decided to have a promo where if you bought a vehicle, you would get a free shotgun and a Bible and an American flag with the purchase of the vehicle. Ford's executive offices decided that was not the image they wanted to have, and they've asked this dealership to yank the offer, and the Alabama outfit has complied. I wonder if they'd already bought the shotguns. Alrighty, Vimeo. This censorship thing is getting way, way, way out of control. Vimeo has banned Project Veritas and Natural News on the same day as the criminal tech giants collude to silence independent journalism. And as you know, Project Veritas came out with a video talking about Google's engineering of their search engine to work against President Trump next year. Now, that's interference in an election, certainly far worse than anything Russia's accused of doing. But YouTube has banned the Pinterest investigation. Twitter suspends Veritas for the Pinterest story. Reddit bans Project Veritas. YouTube bans Google investigation. Vimeo removes the Project Veritas account. They're obviously working together. There's somebody at the top saying, we need to censor XYZ. And all of these corporate social media companies are going along with it. Now, Google is now burying Mercola.com search results in what appears to be an escalating attack on all independent health, nutrition, and vaccine information. Got to protect the profits of big pharma. You know, how dare you think that you can cure yourself or treat yourself? That's just utter nonsense here. So, anyway, that Veritas video exposing Google, which has been banned by Google, is now available on Brighteon.com. So I think a lot more people are going to be starting going on over to Brighteon. And but so far it doesn't appear to be succumbing to this epidemic of censorship. Alrighty, companies like Google, YouTube, and Facebook are censoring media because of political bias. It is in direct violation of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Articles 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, and Article 30. So hopefully the United Nations is going to do something about this. Over at Facebook, founder Mark Zuckerberg is now openly bragging about blocking pro-life ads in the upcoming Irish elections. There's no shame out there. These people know what they're doing. They're not ashamed of it. They think it's a good thing. They're proud of it. Yes, we are in control. It's like the control voice on the old Outer Limits. We will control all that you see and hear. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I want to choose what I want to see and read and hear. Speaking of Google, apparently last weekend there was a little bit of a whoopsie with the Google Maps system that resulted in nearly 100 people driving their cars into the middle of a muddy field where many of them became stuck. Some even suffered damage to their cars trying to get through the rough terrain. Little bit of a whoopsie there. Okay. Now, we've talked a lot about how vaccines don't seem to be effective anymore, and very often, in fact, seem to cause the diseases you're being vaccinated against. But the pharmaceutical industrial complex has come up with an answer. They're saying the viruses are evolving, and our current vaccines are not providing immunity, but don't worry, we're whipping up a new vaccine right now. Okay, we're going to take a break here for commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. to ourselves.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And apparently, Twitter has decided that for the 2020 election, they will be censoring President Trump's tweets. And they're not going to delete them outright, but they will downrank those which violate Twitter's rules. They're going to have algorithms running on his Twitter feed, and those that the algorithms say are not appropriate will be downranked so that fewer people will see them. Okay, Donald, you got to do something about this right now. You can't ignore this one. Okay, we're going to take a phone call now. Charles in Michigan, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Shaka Michael. I've been wondering about the influence of Israel, not just on our voting, but on the nation in general. It appears as though through infiltration, Israel has managed to take over our government, military, and many of our states.
Yes.
They have a number of laws that are being passed to protect Israel from our voice. That's about all I have to say for right now. There'll be more on other days, and sure appreciate your program.
Well, thank you very
And
much.
Good luck.
Obviously,
good luck in Indiana.
well, thank you very much. Obviously, these laws that are designed to protect Israel are really attacks on our freedom of speech. And I'm presuming that if one of them gets to the United States Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court will say, yeah, this is clearly a violation of the First Amendment. So, because we do have a right to complain about government. That's the reason for the First Amendment, to give us a right to complain about the actions of government without fear of reprisal. Any government. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very unhealthy influence on our country. There's no question about that. Okay, well, very interestingly, over in the Atlantic, and I'm going to take a guess here that a container fell off a cargo ship, but apparently hundreds of Nike trainers are washing up on beaches all across the Atlantic, from Ireland's windswept west coast to the sunny sands of the Bahamas. And obviously they have been riding the currents for a very, very long time. And you might be surprised how many of those containers do get lost at sea. And so if you're shipping anything by shipping container, you'd better insure it, which is obviously what we're doing with our property. And but they do get lost. You know, the strapping will break and they'll fall. I've seen a photo of an entire container cargo ship with virtually the entire cargo sliding off to one side. So, okay, out in California and New York. Oh, we got to take a break here for station identification. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we could use a few phone calls. And we've got a caller on the line right now. So let's go to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mike. You know, last weekend it was kind of a lousy day. I was bouncing around the internet. And everyone says how the liberals are going to ban free speech. And they don't look at the neocons. Now, I was jumping around. I went to Breitbart. And, you know, I'd like to look at the comment sections to see what people are thinking.
Yeah.
And the great majority were all for bombing Iran, turning them into, you know, green glass, nuking them. But anyway, I went on. I said, well, let me comment. And I made some, you know, mild Ron Paul type comments, mind their own business. And guess what the alt-right did? They flagged me and blocked me.
Yep.
Just for being anti-interventionist. They banned me. So much for it just being liberals who want to ban free speech. The neocons, they're against free speech also. So I wanted to, you know, just make that point. But it seems, by the comments, it seems I kind of think Trump was kind of put in there. And it's to divide the patriot right, the alt-right, divide and conquer. Seems like the patriot right is split between neocons and non-neocons. And I just kind of think maybe that's why Trump was allowed to win, if you will. What do you think?
I don't think Trump was allowed to win. I think the deep state really did want Hillary Clinton to get on in there. As far as the split between the neocons and the paleocons, that's been obvious for quite some time. I consider myself a paleocon. But, you know, the neocons basically came in to hijack the Republican Party, just like the neoliberals are doing exactly the same thing to the Democrats.
Yes. Oh, yes. The neoliberals who run the Democratic Party, they hate real liberal progressives like, for example, Jimmy Dore. They hate him. And they get the same treatment. Real progressives are hated by the Democrat establishment. Hated by them. But, you know, I kind of think, looking at Tulsi Gabbard, you know, the caller in the second hour was saying she's CFR, and he's got a good point. I mean, to me that tells a lot. I mean, we should have learned from 2016 that, sad to say, no matter who gets in there, they're immediately either threatened, they're co-opted, or they were blackmailed all along. So, I'm not discouraging people from voting, but Tulsi, just like Trump, saying a lot of great things. But if she were elected, I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
No, I think we learned a lesson with Donald Trump. He came in as an outsider, and he said all the right things, and we worked very hard to counter Hillary Clinton's attempt to steal the election from him. But ever since he's gotten into the Oval Office, he has been a tremendous disappointment. And so I refuse to get enthusiastic about the 2020 election. I'm going to observe it. I'm going to report on it, but I'm not going to get really emotionally invested in it.
Yeah, I wouldn't waste your time. I think people would be better off, not that this matters, calling their representatives and president, warn and plead with him to not start a war, particularly with Iran. Yeah, I'm done with Trump. I mean, I hate to say we were conned. We were conned by Trump. And I'm tired of people making excuses for him. I mean, Truman said the buck stops here. And he's the president. Why is John Bolton even there? Why is he there?
Sheldon Adelson wanted him there.
Well, what about the 50 million of people who voted for Trump? Does that mean anything to Trump? So, I'm just sick of making excuses for this guy. I have fear by the time he's out, he is going to screw the American people so bad, it's not funny. He may try to surpass W. Bush in a war with Iran. He'd surpass W. Bush as being the greatest mass murderer of the 21st century. And I'm sick of people making excuses for Trump. Rather than blindly supporting him, like some on the alt-right are, they should be calling their representatives, president, saying no war with Iran.
Well, my understanding is the polling numbers are definitely against a war in Iran. And apparently there's a story that came out confirming that it was in fact Tucker Carlson who convinced Donald Trump to call off that strike into Iran following the downing of the Global Hawk. And Tucker Carlson just told him point blank, the neocons do not have your best interests at heart. If you go into Iran, it would be crazy, and you can kiss any re-election chances of 2020 off. And that was apparently the point at which Trump said, yeah, we're calling this off.
It's interesting. I called a few days ago. Notice Antifa has doxed Tucker.
Yes.
But they don't dox pro-war conservatives like Hannity and Glenn Beck. Notice that.
Yep.
And that gets to my theory all along. Antifa is a thug arm of the deep state. If you're a real populist conservative, well, let's sick Antifa on them. So that's Antifa works for the deep state.
Yes.
It's targeting non-neocons. You notice that? They don't bother Hannity. They don't bother Sean Hannity. They only go
Antifa are the modern embodiment of the brown shirts.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, they work indirectly, whereas Lenin called them useful idiots.
That was Stalin.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're indirectly working for the neocons and people like Pence and Bolton by attacking Tucker Carlson, and they don't even know it. But yeah, then it's amazing to me. Antifa's like backing the neocons indirectly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure that the people at the very top of Antifa know exactly who they're working for and what the goal is. It's the lower down, the street recruits that are being misled. Yeah, they don't know what's going on.
But yeah. But you notice Antifa, they have a get out of jail free card. No matter what they do, they beat up and assault people. They're never charged. They're never sent to prison. So that tells me they're working for the government.
Yep.
I remember seeing a picture of them walking down the street with AR rifles. And I'm thinking, why are they doing this? Why are they allowed? Because they're working for the government or government operatives, or CIA or someone like that.
Well, they're sure working for somebody, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. But people, stop having blind faith in Trump. Start looking at him with the same scrutiny that you would Hillary. And with that note, thanks for taking my call, Mike, and have a great show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to do shout out now to our honor affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. So before the top of the hour, we were starting to talk about this story. A lot of states across the country, and that includes here in Hawaii, they're banning plastic bags and straws. And the bans are aimed at grocery stores and other businesses that give out the bags to customers to carry out their purchased items. Now, here in Hawaii, they'll give you a bag, but they charge you 15 cents for it. And the idea is the bag bans are built as a means to reduce waste and pollution by forcing Americans to bring reusable bags to stores, which we don't always remember to do. And as a result, we have a closet full of these things now here. But people are starting to look at it saying, if there really is a positive benefit for the environment, or are they actually making things worse? And that people were bringing other kinds of bags that were less healthy to the markets. And as far as the straws are concerned, they had a real problem with that for a while. I mean, the new thing is the stainless steel reusable straw. And Starbucks came out with that for a while. And the first ones they had come on out, the ends weren't properly finished. And little kids were literally gouging the interior of their mouths with these things. But it's just one more thing that we get to carry around with us in the name of protecting the environment here. Okay, out in California, over this last month, there's been a swarm of over 1,000 small earthquakes, magnitude 3 and under, which means they're barely felt. But apparently, this recent swarm produced more than 1,000 tremblers over a 3-week period, sparking fears that something more destructive may be on the way, according to the LA Times. Now, the government officials are saying, we get these all the time. It's no big deal. I'm sure everything is going to be okay. Just, continue going to work and doing tourism and, pay your taxes and everything, and you don't have to worry about it. I don't know. If I were in this area, and I think it's Fontana's where they said this was happening, I would be a little bit nervous. When Claire and I lived in Southern California, we went through a couple of nasty quakes, including the Northridge quake. And, we had our quake kit, which is now our tsunami kit, which after we get to Indiana will be the tornado kit. But if you live in any of these areas, you should be prepped. You really should be. Absolutely. Okay, according to NASA, the largest glacier in Greenland is growing for a 3rd year in a row. It's not shrinking like the global warming cultists want to tell you. It's growing. You got a lot more snow this winter. The snow is glaciating, which is the process by which snowfall compacts into hard ice, and it's accumulating more snow and ice than is calving off at the edge to form icebergs. Third year in a row. So much for human-caused global warming. And still, the global warming cultists are out there, hottest global temperature. The media was out there, and they're still pushing this whole thing. It was the hottest year on record. This place is the hottest temperature. This place had a heat record. They're still pushing at this. And they ignore the record cold temperatures. They won't report on those. They won't report on the record snow that's falling in a lot of places. But if you look at the global temperature line for the last 156 years, it is flat. There's minor fluctuations, but there is no global warming. It just isn't there. It was a hoax. It was a hoax to trick you out of your money and your obedience by making you think that the planet was in danger from all you icky-poo human beings, and you will atone by paying carbon taxes and buying carbon credits and doing what the environmentalists tell you to do. And anytime anybody says there's no such thing as a wide-ranging conspiracy between government and media and educational institutions to defraud the American people, you just point them right there. That whole human-caused global warming was a bunch of nonsense. Meanwhile, the world's 76 best tide gauges are showing negligible acceleration of sea level rise. That was one of the latest ones that was on the news. Not only is the oceans rising, it's speeding up. It's getting faster and faster. Well, maybe Al Gore shouldn't have bought that beachside house out there in California. So it's been a rough tornado season in the Midwest, and they had some tornadoes in Indiana just yesterday, which I don't think Claire really understood, that you get some spectacular weather in Indiana. But apparently, tornadoes also ripped through Missouri, killed 3 people. Heavy rains flood rivers in Oklahoma, causing 2 runaway barges to be swallowed by a dam. So it's definitely rough weather. Story coming out of Chimp Planet talking about listening to climate doomsters makes our situation actually worse. And they're talking about James Anderson, who's the professor of atmospheric chemistry at Harvard, gave a speech, and it fed the daily doomster news from the left. There is no time left, by Robert Hunziker at Counterpunch. Journalist Jeff McMahon presented it at Forbes as yet another in an endless series of deadlines. We have 5 years to save ourselves from climate change. And again, it's an agenda that they're pushing here. Now, Professor Anderson believes we have only 55 months left to fix climate change, or we will all go extinct. And his prediction has little support from the IPCC's report. They're ramping up the fear factor. People aren't listening to them, so they're just trying to make it scarier and scarier so that people will say, oh my goodness, we have to do something. Now, if you go over to my article on ClimateGate, which is permanently linked in that gray box near the top of whatreallyhappened.com, and scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see all these quotes from these climatologists who are openly saying it's okay for us to lie because we need to motivate people to bring about change, which is very often described of in socialist terms. So it's just another fraud. It's another fairy tale to get you to do what somebody else wants you to do. We are the most lied to people on the face of planet Earth. And we need to develop a healthy sense of skepticism. We need to basically learn that, in point of fact, people in positions of power and authority and media stardom, if you will, are not telling us the truth. They're paid to lie to us. Whether it's to get carbon credits or carbon tax, start a war, swing the economy a certain way. We get lied to. Got to take a break for commercials. Join us on the air, 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we've got a caller on the line. Don in Iowa. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. You're talking about when you go to Indiana, you change the tornado instead of earthquake. But I was in it. I just wanted to tell one story. I was in an earthquake in Indiana one time, and I've been all over. I've been to Japan, spent time in Japan, Philippines, California. The only place I've ever been in an earthquake is in southern Indiana, Camp Atterbury, Indiana. And by the way, that is a military base there. It's a camp. It's not a place probably not a high-profile target, but that's the place. I guess it's still the way it was a few years ago. What they do is a National Guard unit or a Army Reserve unit that's getting ready to deploy, they always stop at Camp Atterbury. That's the way it was anyway 9 years ago. I have no idea if it's still that way or not now. It probably is, though. So, but here's what happened. I want to tell this story because it's somewhat humorous. I was in the bottom bunk. We were in bunks. It was training, so you didn't have your own room. You had a bunk. And I was in the bottom bunk, sleeping there. And the whole thing, I started shaking. It was shaking like crazy. And I didn't think earthquake. The only thing I thought was, how did that guy in the bunk above me, how did he get a girl up there in the male barracks? That's what I thought. But it was an earthquake in Indiana, so they do exist.
Well, one of the biggest earthquakes in U.S. history was along the New Madrid Fault, which runs up there right by the Mississippi River. So everywhere you live, there's going to be something. And as a matter of fact, we've been dealing with thunder showers here for the last few days, and supposedly there are more coming in at 2 this afternoon. So, it's a little bit of an issue. The only thing we've ever had to worry about here, of course, are hurricanes. We live too high up on the hills to worry about the tsunamis, but we've, had to deal with the sirens going off in the middle of the night to warn us all.
What's your opinion about the Yellowstone super, what do they call it, super volcano, the super guys or whatever they call it?
The super volcano,
What's the odds of that actually going on?
Well, the odds of it happening in our lifetime, I would say, are remote, but it's going to happen eventually. I mean, if you look at the geology of that whole caldera area stretching off to the southwest, you can see the signs of repeated eruptions stretching back every 700,000 years.
Yeah, I looked at the map. The only places in the United States that will not be supposedly will be okay, will not get hit by a lot of volcanic dust at all, is the southern tip of Florida and the southern tip of Texas.
Well, that's all by guess and by gosh, because they don't know how big the eruption would actually be.
They're just guessing, but
they're guessing.
They say Colorado will be, the whole state of Colorado and Wyoming will be in bad shape.
Yeah, that's probably very accurate. Hawaii will be safe.
Yeah,
good reason for us to stay here, right, Claire?
Place over in the Philippines, that'll be a good place to stay over there. All right, Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Speaking of volcanoes, over in Europe, Mount Etna, which is Europe's most active volcano, has come back to life, and it's spewing lava across the island of Sicily. And to the people of Sicily, this is just what happens. It's just one in a long line of volcanic activity that stretches back into antiquity. And there are all these myths and legends and folklore have surrounded Mount Etna, and the volcano has even played a decisive role in history. I seem to recall on the book Journey to the Center of the Earth, when they get spit back out by a volcano, it's Mount Etna. So it's kind of legendary, if you will. And Yellowstone's a concern. Our volcano here on the Big Island has quieted down, at least for the moment. But volcano all over the time here. And a lot of people are very concerned that the center of Mount St. Helens is starting to bulge up again. And there could be another eruption there. Now, right after Mount St. Helens blew, they actually built this little sort of tourist museum and viewing center to the south of the volcano. And I guess somebody decided that was a little risky, because they literally tore it up and moved it several miles down the road to the west. and put it back up again. Anyway, we're coming up here on a commercial break. And when we come on back, more news, more phone calls, I hope. And so stay tuned. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Some have maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far 5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go to the phones to Jay in California. Aloha, Jay. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, back to you, sir. Thank you. Sitting here enjoying a cup of coffee and your program in the afternoon, as I always do. Whenever this Yellowstone issue comes up, I always restrain myself from calling in because I was Yellowstone guide for 6 years, summer and winter, and there's so many details to be considered in this whole thing that should be looked at that are not looked at. That it's just I can just start and just tell me when you want me to stop, and I will cease and desist.
Well, enlighten us, please.
During my time there's always been like a soft gag order on this issue because it's something that has been known about for quite some time. And, the last known eruptions was 640,000 years ago, so we're 40,000 years overdue for another eruption, et cetera, et cetera. And most people come to Yellowstone knowing a few basic facts, and we were just sort of casually told to just confirm the facts they know and laugh it off and change the subject. And that's what we did. So when you actually, in terms of worries concerning your own survival, the best place you could possibly be would be in Yellowstone Park because you won't feel anything. And the computer models, a lot of them based around Mount St. Helens experience, give a general radius of 600 miles for the quick kill. That's the quick kill radius. You're not getting out of there. What we learned from Mount St. Helens was that the silica dust, which gets suspended in the air and stays suspended in the air, grinds up any precision mechanical part, such as airplane engines and truck engines. So gradually, over a period of guessing, a week to maybe 2 weeks, all air and truck traffic will come to a halt. Just a few more basic facts for you. Then I'll get into some things that you probably were not aware of. The physicists, using modern equipment, were able to determine that rocks the size of basketballs have been found in the state of Illinois from the last explosion. Give you a little hint of the power and the magnitude. The thing that makes the Yellowstone supervolcano so powerful, and also in kind of a category of its own, different than the other volcanoes, is that in the caldera itself sits Lake Yellowstone, which is one of the most beautiful places. You have to go there. It's so beautiful. We used to consider it a twin lake of Tahoe, 110 miles of shoreline, 130 miles of shoreline, 320 feet deep, very cold all year long. One of the most beautiful places you will ever see in your life. And so Lake Yellowstone sits in the caldera of what without it would be the remains of Yellowstone volcano, but just at a slightly subsurface level between the surface of the earth and the liquid magma is a tongue of liquid magma. It comes up to the surface and fuels all the things that we know as the Yellowstone thermal features.
Yes.
Geysers, hot springs, mud pots, fumaroles. And what it does, it puts it in very close proximity to the ice cold water, which is ice cold all the time. And many of the features surrounding the Yellowstone supervolcano are thermal features, which were created by thermal explosions, which is to say extreme heat, magma, meets extreme cold, the cold water. And so the proper way to think of Lake Yellowstone is gasoline sitting on top of a burner with just a little bit of separation between it. What it would be required would be for enough seismic activity to open even the smallest crack between the magma and cold water, and that would create a chain reaction of events that's similar to the chain reaction of events that occurs in a nuclear explosion. The physicists can break it down for you and make it seem slow. Okay, first this happens, then this happens, and after that, these two things happen, and then finally, the genuine explosion occurs. Of course, it all occurs in like less time than can even be measured, but that's a similar thing with Yellowstone Lake. And when it does, it's the largest explosive device on this planet. This is a civilization-ending event. Now, those are some mechanical facts. Now, let me give you some personnel facts surrounding this whole situation. It's one of those things. The more you learn, the scarier it gets.
Before we get into the personnel thing, I have a question about you. First of all, I've been to Yellowstone myself many years ago, back when Old Faithful actually did run on time. And I remember looking at the Steamboat Geyser and being told that it would wait years and years between eruptions. And then all of a sudden, now we're hearing that it's erupting every few days, and this is concerning a lot of people.
Well, let me talk about Steamboat for a second. This is I hate to say this is a subject I could talk for hours about. Now, Steamboat Geyser, a good friend of mine was a ranger at the Norris Geyser Basin Ranger Station, and when pre-eruption signals started coming from Steamboat, it had not erupted since 1888. Steamboat's considered the most powerful geyser on the planet. And all of a sudden, it went into what we call pre-eruption phase. And during my last year there, and it was the first time if it was going to erupt, it was the first time since 1888 that it would have erupted. And Cheryl, my ranger friend, was the chief ranger at Norris Geyser Basin, which is where it's located. And this was a major excitement all throughout the park. This is big news. So I saw it in the pre-eruption phase, and I wasn't there for the eruption itself, the first one since 1888. But in the pre-eruption phase, it looked like, if you could imagine, if you took a jumbo jet and stuck it in the ground with just the jet engine sticking up on full throttle.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And I mean, the ground was shaking. It was too loud to talk to anybody. It was like, holy cow, man. Something's getting ready to happen here. You know, everybody's all excited. So Cheryl and her and some other rangers set up a signaling device in what used to be the ancient runoff channels of Steamboat Geyser, where the water would erupt and run back into the geyser prior to 1888. And the only reason that these devices would activate would be if there was any water in these channels, which meant an eruption. And it was activated all the time in the bunkhouse where the rangers lived, and everywhere, and everybody's just on their edge of their seat. And sure enough, at 3 o'clock in the morning of, I can't remember what day it was, it did erupt, and it threw it threw all kinds of stuff for about a quarter mile, big boulders and leftover stuff. In the old days, people used to throw things in geysers and stuff, and it was a major deal. It made news all around the world. I personally would not look at Steamboat as an indicator for pre-detonation signs. I have to use the word detonation whenever I'm talking about Yellowstone. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I would not use Steamboat as an indicator for that. It's the anomalous things that have never been seen before, and it's also when you see a geological process that would normally take a very, very long time happening in a short time. That is something to really get people's attention. Like, for example, last year, there was when they set up a laser to bounce off the surface of the moon to the bottom of the caldera, and thus obtain a perfectly precise measurement of the height of the bottom of the caldera. Very important.
Okay. Yes.
And you probably heard, over the last few years, there's been some slight upward movement in it, and that in itself is something to really be seriously thinking about. And there's also been some other anomalous things that are geologic processes that should not be happening quickly, but are happening quickly. And let me just say that I just recently learned that Rick Hutchinson, who was the USGS geologist in charge of Yellowstone when I was there, is still there. He's easy to say that this man is the most knowledgeable man on Yellowstone geology on this planet. I would not want to be Rick Hutchinson right now. I can almost guarantee you that he's got hotlines going to every major institution and military armed branch of the government, including the president, right in his residence. The weight, if you think about it, the weight of the world is on Rick Hutchinson right now, because all this information, he's got a whole team that do nothing but monitor this. The most advanced equipment available, the most knowledgeable scientists available. This is one of the most important things on this planet. So he's got this constant inflow of information, and it's kind of a nightmare scenario, because if the information flow shifts in such a direction to indicate that there is actually a good possibility that this might happen, then it's decision time for him.
Yes.
He's going to make the heaviest, most burdensome decision that any human could ever possibly have to make. I can't even. It's almost asking too much of any human being to put anybody in the position that Rick Hutchinson is in right now. All he has to do is, and he doesn't have complete control over information, because he could be sitting there looking at key hotlines and have them light up, and could be listening to anybody in any country, including the president, saying, "Rick, listen, man, we've made some mistakes in the past. Every government has, but we can't afford to screw this up, Rick. We've got to get this right. What do we do, Rick Hutchinson?" And all he has to do is push the alarm button, and the lives of everybody, before an eruption even happens, and the lives of everybody on this continent is going to be changed, especially the people that live within the 600 diameter radius quick kill zone.
Well, they're not going to be living there after it's all over.
I just feel so much empathy for Rick Hutchinson to be in that position, because his life he's lived his life for Yellowstone. And now at this stage, even the people that don't know much about it can kind of get the sense of how potentially serious this could be. And he is the focal point.
Okay, Jay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What kind of a time interval are we talking about between Jay getting these pre-detonation signals and the actual eruption? How long are we talking about?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question, isn't it? And reading and having your best possible geophysicists and the best scientific algorithms on this planet trying to read everything together, because adding confusion to the whole thing is that Yellowstone has always been a highly seismically active area. Hundreds of earthquakes, deep earthquakes happen every day. That's normal.
Yeah.
People go up to the Norris Geyser Basin, and it's one of the geyser basins that happens to have the strongest sulfur smell of anywhere. And of course, in the minds of many people, that means, oh God, it's getting ready to go. Let's get out of here, And it's always, Norris Geyser Basin has always smelled like sulfur. So that is the key question, and unfortunately. I think it's safe to say this is a hair trigger type of situation, because of the two immensely powerful forces opposing each other within just a tiny, tiny, tiny distance. That's the key factor. And all they got to do is touch.
Yep.
All that has to happen is just for a really small amount of this cold water to touch the magma, and that
and
is
then you get a steam explosion.
Then you get a series of events happening that's real similar to a nuclear explosion. I mean, it's generally considered that a detonation of the Yellowstone supervolcano would be tens of thousands of times more powerful than all the nuclear weapons on this planet put together. And I remember Mount St. Helens, and that was a big deal. And then Mount St. Helens would be just a little squeak.
Yeah.
So it really is one of those things. The more you learn about it, the scarier it gets. I am also a prepper, but I've always been a prepper just because I think common sense should indicate that people should have supplies put aside for an emergency. Is there any particular area that you're interested in other than that?
No, I mean, I sort of keep an eye on Yellowstone myself, and I'm sure that a lot of our listeners found your added information to be useful. Actually, we're coming up here on a commercial break, so are you still a guide at Yellowstone? And if not, what are you doing?
Oh, no, that was years ago. No, I live in a little cabin in the woods. Thank you. In California.
That's right. It does say you're calling from California. All right. Well, listen, Jay, thanks an awful lot for the information. I found it very fascinating. And obviously, with our upcoming move back to the U.S. mainland, we would definitely be in the outer rim of the ash fall zone, and we're going to have to be prepared for that. So we're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show today. And I'm actually getting emails, people who appreciated the information that Jay from California was giving us about Yellowstone. And, you know, again, the odds of it happening during our lifetime are remote, but it will happen sometime. And every time they do another seismic analysis to find the size of that magma chamber, it gets bigger. And as of the last one I saw, it also extends out west toward that whole Cascadia subduction zone. Okay, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has confirmed the discovery of genetically modified wheat plants growing wild in an unsown paddock in Washington State in the northwest United States. And it is believed that the herbicide-resistant plants, meaning they're Roundup ready, may be descended from GM wheat trials conducted by Monsanto in the early 2000s. Now, Monsanto stopped the GM trials in 2004 due to a lack of enthusiasm for GM wheat among key buyers of American grain. But it's out there now growing in the wild. That's the big problem. All of this Roundup ready genetic materials floating around contaminating crops. Okay, a few days ago, SpaceX had a major launch. It was their most difficult launch ever. I think it was 24 satellites. And it was a mostly success. The booster got up into orbit, deployed the satellites. The two side boosters made it back down to Earth for a soft landing, but the center core crashed into the ocean. It missed its recovery ship. Over at NASA, their mega rocket, the Space Launch System, which is supposed to be the follow-on to the Saturn V, has overrun costs by nearly $2 billion and may not be complete until 2021, 4 years later than originally planned. I have been hearing a lot of talk about how with SpaceX doing as well as they're doing, that NASA may drop the Space Launch System anyway and just privatize the business of getting us into orbit. I think that would actually be a very, very good idea here. And of course, still more news about that major flooding in the Midwest. And it's pouring into the Gulf of Mexico. It's taking with it all kinds of toxic chemicals from the farming areas. And scientists are now predicting that the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico will be unusually large this year. In fact, they're saying it'll be the size of Massachusetts. So it's a dead zone, a hypoxic zone, no oxygen in there, and nasty, nasty stuff. This one's really kind of funny. The man who claims to be the founder of the Biblical Flat Earth Society has been charged with 56 counts of child sexual exploitation. Philip Stephen Stallings from Durham County was arrested after a joint investigation by the Durham County Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And officials allege Stallings, who boasts more than 6,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, telling everybody the earth is flat, apparently downloaded media that involved minors engaging in sexual activities. So maybe all this flat earth nonsense is going to go away. All right. There is the music. It's time for me to get on out of here. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please take what you learn here, share it with everybody that you know, and please donate to Republic Broadcasting. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.